G'day and welcome to Pello Talk. I'm excited to be bringing you the second installment of Good News. We don't want to watch the news at 6 o'clock every night. You can't escape what's going on, so there's no point in making it the center of our primetime evenings. The fact is there's plenty of good news, and it is important we should stay informed with what's going on around us. But you may not be getting the most unfiltered, objective view of the world as it is from the mainstream media, which is why you tune into Pello Talk and share it with all your friends so enthusiastically. But tonight, again, we're bringing you good news, except you might ask, how can there be good news about an unplanned pregnancy? How can there be good news even about a past abortion? And the short answer is that there's always good news. The Bible promises that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purposes. But what about those people who aren't? And the fact is, I'm not playing with words or being silly, but you are the good news. You are the hands and feet of Jesus. You are the opportunity, even if you're not a Christian, you're the opportunity to love your neighbor and be a good mate. And what I want to share with us today is a really important community service and Christian-motivated ministry, which is helping everyone to help those people around them. And the fact is that there are plenty of people who have been affected by a past abortion, if not traumatized. And there are also plenty of people who may be facing, if not now, then in the near future, an unplanned pregnancy. And we want to be good news for those people because they need help, love, and compassion. The good news is there's healing, there's forgiveness, there's restoration, and this moment in your life doesn't have to define you or limit you or be the end of anything. So I want to actually introduce you to a service called Priceless House, and their slogan, "Every woman has a choice." It's really important that if we're going to be pro-woman and pro-choice, then we offer real choices and real solutions and not just a lack of choices. So joining me is the chairman of the Board of Priceless House, Rebecca Lloyd. Thank you so much for coming on to Pello Talk and all the important work that Priceless House does, Rebecca.
Yeah. So great to be here. Thanks so much. And that was just a stellar introduction. I love how you've laboured on the word choice. Because if you don't feel like you have a choice, do you actually have a choice? And here at Priceless House, we are absolutely committed to ensuring that women of all walks of life, of all nationalities, of all beliefs, whether they be religious or agnostic or atheistic or Hindu or Sikh or whatever that may be, that they feel supported during the time of unplanned pregnancy. So we are a not-for-profit. I've been very honoured to just step into the position as chairwoman of the board. We have very, very, very big and fast-moving vision to move forward, but Dave has been very kind to invite me onto the show today to tell you a little about what Priceless House is, what Priceless House is not, and how you can be involved.
It's why don't you start with that? What is Priceless House? And then we'll move on to what it isn't.
Yeah, so Priceless House is obviously a not-for-profit. And because it's a not-for-profit, we can come very, very firmly down the middle. We can serve people of all walks of life, regardless of what their belief systems are or what they tend to adhere to. Priceless House is there for crisis pregnancy, whether that be an unplanned pregnancy or a pregnancy that the woman is experiencing where there is domestic violence or joblessness, homelessness, or any type of issue that she is suddenly faced with that makes her feel that A, she can't cope, or B, she just can't continue with the pregnancy for whatever those reasons that I've just stated may be. And so what we want to do, and what we are already and have been doing for the past 20 years at Priceless House, is we want to be able to offer women a real choice. If you feel like there is no way out of your current situation unless you have an abortion, that's not actually a choice. I love the analogy of comparing apples and apples and saying, what would you like? Do you want an apple or an apple? And we really want to be able to overcome the obstacles that women face so that they can make a genuine choice that is best for them at the time of their unplanned pregnancy. So we we certainly do not coerce women in any way, shape, or form. We are
Great.
very, very, very neutral. I must state that. I can't state that enough. And because we're so neutral, we are able to be there for an unplanned pregnancy decision-making period. And if the woman chooses to move through to an abortion, we are also there afterwards, because unfortunately, again, coming back to mass media, there has been a lot of misinformation around women who have had abortions, that, you know, it's just a bunch of cells, it's not a big deal, you know, you're feeling stressed out now, just come in, is that, you know, just come in, let's get it dealt with, and then you'll feel better in the morning. And I know from people very, very close to me, and from the statistics don't lie, that is actually not the case. Now, conservatively, 1 in 4 women between the ages of 15 and 40 will have an abortion in her lifetime.
Wow.
And
How
out of
many
that,
again?
you know, well, conservatively 1 in 4.
Wow.
I'm very pleased to say that it's dropped slightly, and I'm not saying that that's because, you know, taking a political abortion standpoint, but I feel it's dropped slightly because the community and the government has been able to put better support systems in place for women who are experiencing crisis pregnancy, and so more women have moved forward. But if you've had a crisis pregnancy and you've moved through to abortion, whether it be because you were coerced, or whether you had domestic violence, or you are jobless or homeless, or whatever that might be, and you were led to believe that this is just going to be a great fix it, you're all good to go, and then a few weeks later, or a few months later, or some of our clients a few years later, there's just this uneasiness, and you're not really sure where it's coming from, because after all, it was just a bunch of cells, and it's, you know, it's not a big deal. But the statistics, again, they don't lie. You know, women who have had an abortion are 155% more likely to experience suicidal tendencies. It's off the charts for drugs and alcohol, self-harming behaviour, depression, anxiety, either having a lot of sex all of a sudden or not having any sex, and just like major changes that aren't always related back to the abortion itself.
Yeah.
And so what we seek to do is we really want to educate the community that there are services there for crisis pregnancy to help you overcome. I think it's an absolute disgrace in a first world country in 2020 that a woman who could be looking forward to a pregnancy to take it to now, let's say a woman just found out she was pregnant 6 weeks ago, and now COVID-19, and she's freaked out because she's just lost her job. And the only reason she's not going to continue through with the pregnancy is because she's jobless. That's disgusting. In 2020, in a first world country, no. There are many reasons as to why women move through to abortion.
So just to clarify, what you're saying is it's disgusting that society is not supporting that woman, not that she's feeling that way. Is that right?
I think I think it's more misinformation, and I think if society understood more the reasons why people move through to abortion, I think we would be far more readily willing to address that. Because Australians, we're fiercely patriotic. We love our country. We love our countrymen and countrywomen. And if we understand that there's an issue, mates helping mates, then the community will rise up and do that. What I'm upset about is just the situation itself, that a woman would feel that she has to move through to abortion simply because she's lost her job through COVID-19, or because she's experiencing domestic violence, or whatever that may be. And so I'm very, very determined to better educate people, not to slam people, not to like push a political agenda in any way, but to better educate people that whilst this is all going on, there are women who need help, and you watching, you can actually help.
Let me share with the viewers this service. You may have seen these photos. It's a photographer called Angela Forker, who I actually hope to bring out to Australia, and we were planning on bringing her out for May, Sanctity of Life Sunday, but obviously all travel is banned at the moment, so that's rescheduled, maybe for October. But she takes photos and helps women to tell their stories, their lived experience. And she's got a fantastic website called aftertheabortion.com. And this is the kind of people that Priceless House is well trying to prevent this pain by giving them real choices, but also from the women who are experiencing this pain to provide professional, confidential, and free counselling that's entirely
Correct.
supported by generous donations. So here's this
Correct.
lady, decades later, telling her story for the first time. And she says, years after my abortion, I discovered my mum's journal saying she could hear me screaming, but they wouldn't let her go back with me. My mum said her little 13-year-old girl lost her sparkle after that day. If only my parents knew abortion would not solve my pain from being raped. She also tells the story of these women who are finding their healing, are finding redemption and restoration, forgiveness, and confidence to live their life without condemnation again. And that's so often with a Christian experience, not exclusively, but so often with it. And this lady continues her testimony, and the new photo, completely different, shows the new story that's her life. I chose to lay my heart at the foot of the cross. These are her words, her testimony. The Lord started breaking the chains and healing my busted heart. My life was radically changed. I have been set free from all guilt and shame. I now wear something sparkly every day so everyone can see Christ shine through me. And that's what she does. And that's
Wow.
amazing. And there's so many stories
Powerful.
like this on aftertheabortion.com. So I encourage you
Yes.
to check that out. But this
Yeah.
is what Priceless House is doing here in Australia. Started in Brisbane, which is really excited. And the good news is that there is this kind of ministry. There is this kind of community service. Rebecca, how can people help their friends, maybe themselves, their family, their friends at work or university, if they know someone who's had an abortion in the past, maybe decades ago, or if there's somebody that's facing an unplanned pregnancy right now and they're not sure what to do? What support and good news can they be?
Absolutely. Well, there's three ways that you can get involved. One, obviously, because we're a not-for-profit, we value our financial and practical support donations. Once the decision is made by a woman, if she chooses to continue with her pregnancy, that's an entire relationship that will then move forward. Mentoring, practical support. It's not just oh great, you're going to keep your baby, on you go. Best wishes. We have mothers that still come in years later with that, and they've had their babies years ago, and we still support them right the way through. So it's a relationship. We're not going for a decision. We're not going for a yes or a no. We're going for a relationship. So there are three ways you can get involved. One, be willing to start having a conversation about what is actually real choice, because that is something that needs to be spoken about in the community. Be willing to have a conversation about what misinformation has led people to believe that abortion is not a big deal, when the statistics and the many, many stories that we get through from our clients, it's not true. It's a hugely traumatic event that has lasting effects. And number three, just spread awareness. Spread awareness. Join our Facebook page, share our posts. They're very, very neutral. You're not going to have to take a strong, stance, whether it be left or right. We support people on both sides. They're very, very neutral. We support men. And I want to quickly give a shout out, women, to men as well. Men have been very silenced on this whole debate and on this whole topic for a long time. Now, I know that in some situations with domestic violence and coercion and absolving themselves of responsibility, I understand that, but there are many men out there who are bitterly affected by abortion that was not their desire, was not their choice, and they are carrying things as well. I mean, PTSD is a real thing for post-abortive people. It really, really is, and the stats don't lie. So we support men and women, and those are the three ways you can get involved. Support us financially or with practical donations. Be willing to have a conversation. Be willing to actually talk about this, because there are people who are holding things inside and they desperately need They desperately need some resolution with what they've gone through. And number 3, just spread awareness. Just spread awareness, spread awareness, spread awareness. And together we can ensure that women are supported. And once we start to spread awareness and we get enough donations and support backing us, we can start to move out across all Australia. My dream is that, my goal and my plan is that every single abortion centre would also have a Priceless House or a crisis pregnancy centre. Why? Because women deserve a choice, and this is actually a choice. Only having an abortion centre is not a choice. Having a crisis pregnancy centre and an abortion centre, that is a choice, and that's what we provide.
Yeah, brilliant. I want to actually share a couple more photos from this website after the abortion. And I'm going to share 2 more photos from that same lady, because I want you to explore the website for yourself, but I'm also going to share one of a man, which Rebecca spoke about. So here's this lady, Serena. So the first one in this next pair of photos, her testimony is, even though I was 13 and had no clue about motherhood, I suffered horribly from my abortion. Having the abortion was worse than the rape and fixed nothing. The poor girl. I still missed my baby. A piece of me died and left me a very broken person. How many years of trauma? That poor lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
And her testimony finishes. I cried out to the Lord for help. He met me and took away my addictions and restored my marriage. I have forgiven people that I needed to forgive. I do not hold on to bitterness. Today I walk in freedom. And that's a common story. Lots of substance abuse.
So common
Part
and
of
so powerful.
Part of the story of part of the trauma of coping with that trauma. And here's a photo by Rick. He's a man and he's looking at an empty cot and a pile of cash on the floor. He says, I paid for 3 abortions that my girlfriend at the time wanted. It was not my choice. She said it was her choice, not mine. It did not hit me until years later when I realized what I just threw away. It was very painful, but when you are a man, you suffer in silence. There's no after photo for him. I certainly hope that he's finding some healing and progressing with that now. But
yeah, a gentleman I know actually comes to mind, and 10 years after he had gone through an abortion with his girlfriend, I actually spoke with him, and he'd moved on, he'd gotten married, he'd had 3 children, and he was still grieving the loss of that first child, so much so that when I spoke with him, he was actually planning on getting the child's name tattooed on his arm, completely like stuck in that trauma. It just horrible, and not able to grieve because, well, it didn't happen to you and blah, 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 blah. No, let's not have that conversation. Let's not shut men down in this. They're affected just as much as women when it's not their choice. Really are.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So getting in touch with Priceless House. Their website is pricelesslife.org, pricelesslife.org, and their toll-free number is 1-800-090-777. And they're available to counsel if you're in the Brisbane area in person. You can make an appointment, or even can people just rock up, Rebecca?
They can, obviously not right now because unfortunately people are on lockdown right now. But
of course, normally. Let's say people are watching this after the corona crisis.
After the corona crisis. I would encourage you obviously to phone and make an appointment. Obviously we don't turn anyone away. If you rock up, you're very, very welcome. But if you're not kind of quite ready to do that, especially for the men folk, there's the mobile number there. Just drop us a text. You don't even have to say who you are. Just drop a text and we can still reach out and support you. We can do stuff via Zoom. We're so flexible with technology these days. You don't have to go through this alone. You can go at whatever pace you want to go at, but we're here for you. And we're here for you for free because we're not for profit. So finances don't need to get in the way that I can't afford counselling. You can't afford not to come to counselling if you're not doing well every day.
It's a shame on our society that there's not funding for crisis counselling. There's only funding for one choice, which doesn't seem to be very pro-choice at all. But that's why it's a euphemism and not an actual true label.
That's right.
So look, the conclusion of good news that I want to bring every day is that, yeah, there's community services like this, and they're not overtly religious, even if they're motivated by Christian compassions. There's no religion about the day-to-day operation. You're not going to, have to convert before they help you. It's just a community service with no strings attached. However, I am a Christian, and I do want you to know the hope, the confidence that you can have if you too become a follower of Jesus. And it's this simple. You just have to follow Jesus. You have to call him your Lord and make his will more important in your life than yours. There's a lot after that, but that's all it takes to get started. It's a journey. There's no such thing as a perfect Christian. But what we all have in common is an acknowledgement that without Jesus, our own good works, our own righteousness doesn't come up to scratch, not by a long shot. And that's why we're Christians, is because we admit that we need more than what we have within ourselves. And so you get something new in yourself, and that is a relationship with Jesus. That's the presence of God in your life. Go to aftertheabortion.com and have a look at all the testimonies of people for whom a relationship with Jesus was part of their healing, was part of their hope, and part of their restoration to functional life. And that's the kind of thing that Jesus promises: abundant life forever. But so look, drop me a line privately if you like. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you about how beginning that relationship with Jesus looks, what it looks like, how it works, and try and connect you with people who are close to you as well. But that's probably enough to wrap up in this episode. I'll ask Rebecca to just any final thoughts in a second, but please share this video. Please post it to your page. It's part of reaching out and letting people know that you care. You might even post it with a comment that you're available for a private, quiet chat, just friend to friend, if any of your friends need that. I think the statistics indicate that roughly 70% of women who made an abortion choice in the past would have not made that, would have made a different choice if they'd felt like there was one, if only one person had have offered them real support. So be that person. Be that person during this time when there's extra stresses and extra pressures on people economically and socially, so that your friends know that they're not alone and that you will support them if they're facing an unplanned pregnancy or just need to talk about an abortion they had in the past. And don't forget, professional counselling is always recommended. It's confidential, it's non-judgmental, no strings attached, and it's, best of all, free and nationwide in Australia. So those details again for Priceless House, 0413 888 613. The details are on the screen now if you want to text that, 0413 888 613, or you can call and chat at any time, 1800 090 777. Rebecca, are those contact details 24/7 or Queensland business hours?
We tend to stay up late, don't we? So just text whenever. We'll come back to you as soon as we can, And we also actually need supporters to actually start to man that mobile phone.
Yeah.
So if you have a counselling background, please reach out to us because we need people to be our first port of call. If people don't get something through with the first phone call, they may very well feel that there is nothing there and they go somewhere else. So that phone call, that first point of contact, is absolutely vital. If you have a counselling background and you can only spare half an hour a week, great. Get on a roster so that can at least be responded to in a due time.
That's a fantastic way that people can help practically. And I'd like to see, those kind of centres opened up around Australia where maybe a bunch of churches will cooperate to provide that service in their town or city. Any final words, Rebecca, before we say farewell to everyone?
No, you've absolutely nailed it, Dave. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been wonderful.
Really my pleasure. My pleasure. And it's great for the body of Christ to work together to love our neighbours and provide real hope and real solutions. So thank you very much, Rebecca. And I'm sure we'll chat to you again.
Pleasure. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
You can subscribe to my newsletters at davepello.com. Just jump on the website, That's davepello.com. And you can also find me on all the social media channels, all the good ones anyway: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just type in that website /Dave Pello, and you'll find my details there. This has been Pello Talk, and I look forward to seeing you in the comments.